Here's to good friends, the ones we hold dear, the ones who will tell us what we need to hear, the ones who love us, right or wrong, and to all those good friends who give you this song.
Well, hello good friends, and welcome back to The Last Walk, Remember When, with your host, Ron Baumbach. And we're going back in time to the fun times, the times of our life, and realizing that today's one of those days, and tomorrow is as well. So, get up off the easy chair, walk over to your stove, reach up in the cupboard, take out a nice box of maple. I want my maple. Make it so it's nice and warm on a cold winter's day. Reach up into your cookie jar, take out some pecan pralines, sit back in your easy chair, close your eyes, but turn on that lava lamp. Get ready, the last walk is back.
Life is too short, we get only one turn. With luck we find beauty, but we sometimes get burned. But if you've had a true friend, or perhaps love, you've experienced the peace of heaven above.
A few shows back, I talked about the pack rat. I meant to say rat pack, but it got me thinking about rack and pack. And rack in my mind is random act of kindness, and a pack is a planned act of kindness. I went to a funeral last week for a dear friend's wife, and it got me thinking about what this gentleman did years ago with this planned act of kindness for my family. But before we go there, I was thinking about the random act of kindness, the things you see every day. What do you do? What's your favorite random act of kindness that you witnessed, seen, or were part of? It could be as simple as holding the door open for someone who's behind you, giving a seat to the elderly or a pregnant woman on a bus, a train, or a plane, wherever you may be, helping someone with their shopping bags, crossing the snow and helping someone cross an icy road, icy pavement, shoveling someone's snow, a neighbor's snow in a bad snowstorm. It could be so basic as just a simple smile. A smile on your face goes a long way from making someone else smile, and they may pass it on. It's a random smile that goes a mile. How about making a phone call to a friend? Perhaps letting someone in the food store who has a few items behind you get ahead of you so they can get out of the store faster before you do your 4,000 items and cans of beans and fruit juice and everything else you got in that basket. How about putting the basket back when you're in the shopping cart? How about putting the shopping cart back when you're in the parking lot? All these little things we do. My dad, years ago, and he's been gone for 24 years, 25 years this year, but one of the nicest things I remember my dad did, we never knew he did it, but when he would park his car in Mineola on Jericho Turnpike, they had these parking meters. And one day I saw my dad walking down the street, going to meter by meter. And I said, "Dad, what are you doing?" He would check the expired meters, take out a nickel, and put a nickel in the meters so people wouldn't get a ticket. Now, I don't know if that was a planned act of kindness or a random act of kindness, but he did it often enough that basically he wanted to make sure people didn't get fined for a few seconds of the time, and it cost him a few pennies, a few days a week. What are your favorite random acts of kindness? Now, coming up next month is Random Act of Kindness Week. In fact, there actually is a website called randomactsofkindness.org. It's a nice place to look at. Gives you different ideas for what you may want to do. Now, the reason I bring this up is because, as I mentioned, I went to this funeral. I didn't really know the woman who passed away. She was in her 80s. But we knew her husband and didn't really know him that well either. But he made an impact on my family years ago by doing a planned act of kindness, a PAK. He planned to help our family. My dad, as you may have heard, I may talk about in the past, had Alzheimer's. He got it in his mid to late 60s, and he went on for about 12 years with this crazy, disgusting, weird disease. When he was home, my mom basically was his main primary caretaker before he ended up going to a nursing home and he got really, really bad with the disease. But for a while, it was really difficult for my mom. All my siblings were all working, and the in-laws were all working, etc. Mom was basically there with my dad day in, day out. Out of the blue, some gentleman appeared to my parents' house and would come once a week minimally to sit down with my dad and play checkers, to give my mom an hour or two to go out, get her hair done, go to the stores, get some fresh air, whatever. This hero's name was Vincent. And we got to know Vincent. Whenever you stop in, you see Vincent there. And repeatedly, this man took time out of his day. Whatever he was doing, we didn't know all we knew Vincent was a member of the church my mom belonged to. And Vincent would, besides visiting my dad, also drove elderly people around to doctor's appointments. The man was and is a saint. So I happened to be reading somewhere in the paper that his wife had passed away. And I wanted to go and just give a small thanks on behalf of my family for what he did to our dad 28, 30 years ago. I go to the church. The place was packed. And I thought, what an impact this couple had on people's lives. There was maybe 60, 70 pews in the church on both sides. Every single pew had someone in it. And there were many pews with many people in it. And thinking back, I'm thinking, I wonder how many other people this couple affected on their planned acts of kindness. I'm sure they had many random acts of kindness, but these were planned. And I thought, what are the best planning thing we could do to be kind to someone else? Bake a cake for a lonely neighbor. Visit an elderly friend. How about calling your mom and dad, grandparent, aunt and uncle? Take time out of your day to make someone else happy. Put away your neighbor's trash can or take it out, right? How about hugging a loved one, planning to hug a loved one, and tell them you love them? These are all simple things we can do, add to our day, and make the world a little bit better.
Oh, I've been so lucky and I've been so blessed. In spite of my failings, I've found success. For I've known love and I've known good times, and I have known friendship and written some rhymes.
I ask you to close your eyes and think back. Who were the kindest people you knew and you know? Think back. Who made the impact on you the most through their random act and planned acts of kindness? I think quickly back to two people. Both are gone. One was an old boss of mine, my first boss I had in 1969, a gentleman named Dick Minuto. Minute with an O. Dick was one of the nicest people I've ever met in my life. An incredibly strong, inspirational leader, a really great person, and very dedicated to helping others become better in their careers. Many times people shot past him in their own careers, but everyone thought back fondly of the man who helped them get there. Another person is my dear Aunt Estelle, a loving person, my mom's younger sister. She made an impact on our lives, my siblings and I, and for many other people, just by always being there. A really, really special person. Who's your really special person? Who's the one you think back of and say, they made a difference and I am who I am today thanks to that person?
Oh, I've been so lucky and I've been so blessed. In spite of my failings, I've found success. For I've known love and I've known good times, and I have known friendship and written some rhymes.
It must have been around 1995. I had just arrived from a long business trip, was down at the terminal at LaGuardia Airport, I believe. It may have been JFK. I'm not quite sure nowadays, but basically I'm at the terminal with the luggage coming in, waiting for my bag to come out of the chute. And as I'm standing there, I look up and I see this really tall man in front of me with a bunch of people around him. I'm on the phone with one of my sons, Kevin, just chatting about, hey, Daddy's back home from the trip and what are you doing, et cetera, et cetera. And all of a sudden I look up and I see this man and I say, wait, that's Bill Walton to myself. So I have the phone in my hand and I walk over to Bill. I say, hey, Bill, I have my son Kevin on the phone. Would you mind saying hello to him? So Kevin thought I was crazy. Kevin did not think I actually had Bill Walton on the phone. Kevin thought it was Dad doing one of his silly jokes as he's traveling again and making funny games. So I give the phone to Bill Walton, who takes it from me. He actually puts it next to his ear, and he goes, "Hi, Kevin, how you doing? It's Bill." And he starts talking to Kevin, and next thing I know, he starts walking around the terminal, all through the terminal as the luggage didn't come in yet, and Bill Walton and Kevin are on the phone having a 5-minute conversation. And I'm like standing there thinking, am I getting my phone back, or does Kevin have a new best friend? What's going on here? Bill was really, really cool. The guy was incredibly calm, friendly, whatever you could think of from a positive standpoint of an athlete, a star athlete, a megastar athlete, how he was treating a 12-year-old kid was unbelievable. Maybe Kevin was 14 back then. So he's on the phone with him. He gives me back the phone. He said, "Thanks, Ron. You have a really nice boy in your son, Kevin." I said, "Thanks, Bill. I appreciate you taking the time." So we parted the ways. He got his luggage, him and his entourage. I got my luggage. Now, Bill then was, I believe, doing the NBC Game of the Week broadcast. He retired from the NBA. He's in the Hall of Fame. In fact, he was entered in the Hall of Fame. The Lakers retired his number 32. The same day as retired Kareem Abdul-Jabbar's number 33. He made the NBA Hall of Fame. He's played for the Celtics, played for the Lakers, played for the UCLA. Had a great broadcasting career. In fact, ironically enough, he had a stuttering problem when he was younger. He got over that, worked on it, and became a tremendous broadcaster, as you probably heard him over the course of time. So we parted our ways. I leave the terminal, he leaves the terminal. I go out in the parking lot, and I can't find my car. I'm walking up and down the aisles trying to find my car, dragging my luggage behind me in the wheeled luggage thing. Who pulls up in a car with 2 guys in it but Bill Walton? And he says, "Hey, Ron, trying to find your car? Need help? We'll drive you around." And I looked and I said, "Bill, I appreciate it, but I just see it down the hall. Thanks for the offer." He goes, "No problem, Ron. Have a great day. Take care." And he leaves. And I'm thinking to myself, here's a guy who didn't need to do any of that stuff. He's big time, but he took his time to make me happy. He gave me a random act of kindness. What is a random act of kindness you got that you think back of and think, wow, he not only did it for me, but my son Kevin? And it's a story we talk about to this day, how whenever we see Bill Walton on TV, remember that day, Dad, you put Bill Walton on the phone with me? Yes, I do. So who knew? So it was the fall of 1967, or perhaps the winter of 68. I was an awe-inspired freshman of the then all-male boys' college called Marist College in Poughkeepsie, New York. It was a Friday night. Perhaps it was Saturday night. I'm not quite sure now. But our college social committee, run by the administration, arranged for what we used to call a mixer to be mutually held at a local all-girls school. We would travel around buses many times at these different mixes at different girls' schools. Lady Cliff, Mount St. Mary's, Mount Marymount, I believe it was called, all different girls' schools. It was great. We would go on Friday, Saturday night, hop on a bus, go to the mixes, or the girls would come to our school. Well, this one Friday or Saturday night in 67 or 68, we were going to a local school called Vassar. Now, Vassar was a little bit different than Marist. Marist was, for the most part, for the regular folk, from at least an economic standpoint. Now, versus at Vassar, which consisted of some students known to come from, let's say, far wealthier means. So thus it was. The boys were thrilled. We're going to meet some Vassar girls. Ho-ho! Oh, bye, baby, going to Vassar. And this, perhaps, my friends, is where my love story begins. Now, yours truly wasn't always a suave, debonair man about town that you have come to know and love since then. Yeah, right. But I, too, look forward quite much to joining in the frenzy of the Vassar mixer. I, along with my fellow students, entered the Vassar parlor. It wasn't really a gym like we were used to going to. It was really something that looked like a real parlor. There were girls.